All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined from Northern Virginia by Katie Nelson. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
Great. And Katie is the founder and CEO of Sales Uprising and a three-time business owner who's committed to bringing the fun back into sales. There you go. She's on a mission to change the current statistic that 90% of businesses do not reach their sales goals. You're a speaker, consultant, business coach with over 30 years sales experience and over 150 million sold in products and services. What we're going to talk about today is niche for sales success. Katie, some people, a lot of times, like people struggle with, because broad always sounds like it's better because it's a bigger market and all of that, um, and people find it very difficult to select a niche to be in because, as humans, if we select something by default, we're unselecting a load of other things, and we don't like to do that.
How true how true is that? I don't like to do that. I want all of the options, right?
Yeah.
It, and you're so right. It feels, this is one of the most antithetical feeling things we have in sales, which is go smaller, get more
Mhm.
results
Yeah.
versus, it's like taking that big trawler out in the ocean. You're only looking to get king crab, but you took the trawler out that catches everything. So you've got
Right.
sharks and trash and all of that. So if you think about that analogy mentally, you're literally wasting time going through prospects that are sharks, not king crabs.
Mhm.
So your goal is to put yourself exactly where the king crabs are so you can get more of those.
Yeah, because because let's face it, we've all grown up and been on the idea that, the bigger your pipeline, the better, right? And oftentimes, like, we try to stuff as much into the pipeline as possible to make ourselves feel better, not necessarily to actually generate revenue.
Well, I would say that, part of it is contextual, John. When
Mhm.
we were younger, that was true. When we stuffed our pipeline with a bunch of things, one, boy, weren't our sales managers off our backs because
Mhm.
we had a lot going on in our pipeline. We could talk about a lot of different things, potential everywhere. As we grow to truly understand our value proposition alongside the companies, we can start to become more successful because we know who we're looking for. We know what our client looks like. So, sure, when we first start out or when we're new in a sales career, there are benefits to having a larger pipeline. We learn a lot in the culling
Yeah.
of through that pipeline. It does just become a place where we don't have time for that anymore. And if we've
Mhm.
just started a business, or if we're in a business and we're not getting the success we want, niching is traditionally a place where we can look at honing in an effort to up our
Yeah.
sales game.
So how do you start the process of figuring out the right niche to be in, and how granular should you go?
Why wouldn't you go as granular as you can?
Mhm.
In my opinion, information and granularity is like casinos always win. The house
Right.
always wins. And if you're a salesperson who's trying to set yourself up for success, you want to know all of the moving parts and pieces so that you can identify potentially within minutes whether or not you can solve the problem at
Mhm.
hand for your prospect so that you know whether or not you should even be spending time with them or they should be spending time with you,
Right,
right?
right.
So go granular often.
Right, right. When you work with people, how do you help them? How do you help them figure out uh, the niche, and then how, as we said, how granular to go, and how adjacent you can go as well? Like, what kind of parameters do you work with?
So when let's talk about taking one line of a business, right?
Yeah.
So before we go adjacent, it's good to have a machine that works
Hmm.
in one silo or with one service offering, we'll say, one sale, if you will. So uh, there's a couple things to take into consideration. One is how you work and how you work best,
Hmm.
right? For those of us who came up through a sales machine, a sales grinder, we've been put to the test in multiple different ways. So we know how we work best, which is why when you hire us or when we start our own companies, we've got that ready to go. If you've never been through the sales grinder, you need to understand how you perform at your best. So everything you do is overlaid with that, first and foremost.
Hmm.
It's not your client or your prospect's job to tell you how to do it best for them.
Right, right. And
Then
do you find oftentimes that that's a tough question when you ask people that, or especially somebody who hasn't got a background, or maybe somebody started a business who doesn't really have a sales background?
absolutely, right? So when you start a business, it's the most superficial of the thing. I don't like their vibe, or they reject me first, which those of us in sales can identify with. Like we get that. That's a
Mhm.
well-worn feeling for us. Um, but they don't really know what that means, even though they have the most amazing expertise, and that expertise provides the solutions, how to overcome the human element of relationship to be able to communicate that correctly is why I say it's okay. In the beginning, have a big pipeline. The bigger
Mhm.
pipeline you have, the more conversations you have. It's through those conversations that you end up whittling down the answers for yourself and ultimately for your prospects.
Yeah, yeah, because it's really fascinating, as you said. I mean, to go through that process of learning how you interact, how people react to you, all of that good stuff. I mean, that's quite a fascinating journey for somebody to have to go on and start and get their business up and running at the same time.
Absolutely. It's one of the only processes in starting a business that's wholly and uniquely you, right?
Mhm.
So if you're looking at the Venn diagram of your business with your offerings and your potential clients and all of those things, that's overlaid with you as this business owner. Ultimately, when you start your own business, you're the number one salesperson, baby. It's all
Mhm.
up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got to do that work. We're so interested in easy answers, quick answers.
Mhm.
And this is just one of those places that unfortunately we've got to work that out for ourselves. And the faster we focus on that part of it, the faster we can get through it, have those answers to our sales success.
Yeah, and obviously it's if you choose a niche where there's, obviously good opportunity, but one where you're comfortable, where you have expertise, where you are comfortable having those conversations, that obviously is an ideal scenario.
Ideal. That is so beautiful, right? So, it general rule of thumb with niching, first and foremost, if you are about to tell someone no one's ever done it before, as a business coach, I'm going to tell you, then maybe you shouldn't either. Because from a 50,000-foot view, your sales life cycle just became exponentially longer
Right.
in terms of education, the marketing that you have to put out there, all of these things. And in terms of small business, that's all cash out the door before you ever get a single deal. So, a good rule of thumb with niching is that if you know you have competition, you're going to do great.
Right, right, right. Yeah, as opposed to, yeah, but looking for a greenfield site that maybe is greenfield for a reason.
Right. Just because you can see the problem, that's only a part of the equation. Just like with any good sale,
Mhm.
if I'm selling something that nobody wants, I'm not really selling anything, am I?
No, no.
So
Yeah. And when it comes to niching then, obviously once you've chosen your niche or whatever, at that point then you really have to understand it. Obviously, do your research, you have to be curious about it. Then you have to align yourself to that niche, and sometimes I think that's a difficult process.
I I agree with you, and it traditionally, for me in my experience, shows up like the how and not the
Mhm.
result,
Right.
right? So when we're uncomfortable with how we align, what we talk about is the process that we get you through to get to the results that you want. When ultimately buyers don't give two hoots about the how, like
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, yeah, that's what I pay you for. I pay you for this how.
Yeah.
And what they really want is to know where they're going to be at the end of the whole thing.
Mhm.
The more comfortable you get in aligning yourself and your solution, your company's solution with the end result, the better results you'll see.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely, and I think the other part about niching is it obviously allows you to align. I mean, whether it's you on your own or whether it's you have a small group around you, or whatever, it allows you all to align around something and have a very clear vision for what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So, um, your niche is about a particular target market.
Mhm.
Traditionally, that target market would be the target market that's benefited most from the solution or service that you provide, or even the product, right? Like
Mhm.
whatever it is you're selling, that target market benefits from it the most. So when you're thinking through all of the descriptors of how you as a company or you as a leader or you as a salesperson describe your target market, I'm also going to challenge you to actually find out how those people identify themselves. So the labels that they call themselves, is it business owner
Mhm.
or is it solopreneur? Is it, mid-market government contractor or is it service provider? How do they think about themselves? Because those are ultimately the words that you want to use. It doesn't matter. No offense, salespeople.
Mhm.
Most of you are going to know this, but no offense. It's not about you.
Yeah.
This is 100% about them in this moment.
Yeah, and I think that, and I think, and tell me if you have, if you agree with this, Katie. But I think curiosity is the superpower here. And once upon a time, I think there's a lot of salespeople could get away without really understanding business or really, getting down into the weeds of things. I think nowadays, you have to understand the business of business, which hopefully, if you're a business owner, you do. You need to understand the business of your client, and you need to understand the business they're in and and so you need to be a lot more informed than you used to be.
I agree with you. Now, I've never been a salesperson who wasn't curious.
Sure.
I don't know what it looks like to do it a different way. I'm sure it could be done. It feels a lot harder for me to just
Mhm.
stay that focused. When you're curious about your client, there are a ton of places that you can plug in potentially
Mhm.
depending on what you do. And it's, going back to the get granular. Like why wouldn't
Mhm.
you ask all of the questions? You're not asking for no reason. So, it's through innate curiosity that allows you not only or provide you with not only the leverage so that
Mhm.
you always win, right? Uh, in that
Yeah.
scenario, but it's also where you potentially can win your next deal and your next deal, whether it's from an upsell, your next sell in the relationship, or whether or not it's through a referral from them, right?
Mhm.
So it's worth spending the time. And I think, John, that's where um, in our want to have things go so quickly, I want things to happen
Yeah.
fast, that we miss a lot of opportunity these days.
Well, I would agree with you, and I think there's, the pervasive culture today is so distracted, it's so instant, it's all of that, that's stopping and listening and active listening. Because I think that's the thing is, I mean, you can ask questions and you can, listen to the answers kind of passively and whatever, because you're moving on to the next clever thing I'm going to say. Um, but the active listening part is so critical, and it's become almost a lost art.
I hope that's not true, John. I hope that you are wrong. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course.
Uh, I think about, and I hope it's not gone. Although it could be an interesting, the next courses that come out in the
Mhm.
world, maybe it's on this topic on active listening and what does that really mean?
Yeah.
How, and salespeople have a leg up in this. I would point out, we've been taught how to mirror, how
Mhm.
to mirror a client's um, being
Yeah.
in their words. We've been asked long before coaching was a thing. We've been taught to paraphrase and have someone say, "Did we get that right?" I can't
Mhm.
tell you how many times I've said those words in my life. Did I get that right? Right?
Mhm.
Did I hear you correctly? Do I understand your challenges? Or did I get it wrong? And where can you fill in the blanks for me? And salespeople really have that in spades. For people who are looking to come into their own sales strength and do it
Mhm.
right for their business, or just because this is what they've decided to go into, it can really mean the difference between a high sales success rate early and not.
Yeah, because let's face it, I mean, when you're working with solopreneurs or you're working with business owners or startup, and if they're the main salesperson, a lot of times they can. I mean, I guess one of the things you have to work on with them is they can get very caught up in that their baby is the most beautiful baby ever, and so they want to tell you about it and they want to show you all the pictures and all of this, and rather than go, get your, what I mean, like get your opinion and work on like figuring out what you really think. It's I always think that that's a real struggle because you're so passionate about what you do that you can lose sight of the other person.
Absolutely. You are right. I agree with you. And I can get caught up in it too.
Mhm.
If we're talking about sales struggles, I've done this my whole life. I can tell you exactly what is wrong, blah, 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 in 5 seconds or less, this, that, and the other thing. But it's not about me, right?
Mhm.
That number one underlying rule of the customer is always right. And no, that's a bad example because I don't actually really believe that. But
Yeah.
you know, in this instance, before I've made my deal, before they have said yes to the solution that I'm providing or that anyone is providing, it's all about them and their challenges. There's
Mhm.
very little place for me other than to state understanding, be curious about their challenges. Why do they think they have these challenges? It doesn't have anything to do like they don't care about all that stuff. I can bore my friends with that over happy hour
Yeah, yeah, they just wanna
and
know
do it for daily.
what you're gonna do for them. And have you seen, what have you seen changing in sales over the last while? And now obviously with AI and all of that, what changes do you see, and how is the best way to approach them?
So there's that's a deep, I thought we only had like 20 minutes. That's a whole nother conversation.
Mm,
I do believe that AI can be helpful. I am not an early adopter of things. I like to test them out. So
mhm,
I've waited for a really long time before I even inserted AI in my business, and it can be helpful. Where I'm cautious is that at the end of the day, at least for my business and the businesses of my clients, I
mhm,
would put forward for everyone's business who is in a service B2B space at the very least, even if you're B2C, the majority of high ticket dollar sales are based on relationships.
mhm,
And there's really AI can't take that away from you guys. Sorry, they can't.
mhm,
They can help support you in that with anything basically, but they can't actually hold the relationship for you. So where I think I see the pendulum swinging is in more classes, content, education around what business relationships can look like again.
right. Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think it's the return to the relationship. I think it faded a little bit. I think because people, number one, like started hiding behind technology, which is never a good thing. You use technology to enhance your relationships, not to replace them. COVID obviously had an impact as well, and I think now and that's where I think exactly what you've been talking about for all of this is identifying the right niche to be in, and then understanding how to build deep relationships there.
Absolutely. And you know who's going to be able to help you with that the most? That actual niche,
Yeah.
right? So when you're sitting, for anybody who's listening that's still thinking, no, 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 niching isn't the thing. I need you to think about the dartboard. So there's a
Mhm.
double bullseye on a dartboard. Did you know that, John?
I did.
um, so most people think it's just a bullseye, but the most points on the board is the double bullseye, and it is the tiniest little spot on the
Mhm.
board. So if you in in darts, the tiniest dot, most points. Same concept in sales. Now, if you want to be stubborn and say, no, 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 Katie's got it wrong. She doesn't know what the heck she's talking about. Go ahead, keep shooting for the outer ring
Mhm.
and find out that you are inefficient in your time. It is eventually going to catch up with you. You will learn slower. When you learn slower, your dollars are out the door faster,
Yeah,
right?
not to mention that you'll spend an awful lot of money on advertising to the wrong
To
people.
the wrong people. And that's not what we're looking at, right?
Mhm.
And sales versus marketing and their relationship is a whole other conversation. But ultimately, your highest ticket everything um, is in relationships. It's why you see such a big swing to talking about centers of influence and quality referral partners.
Mhm.
And what does that look like? The people that you choose to invest your time, energy, and conversation in so that they can know what you do and then go be a whole separate marketing department for you,
Mhm.
right? It's in those relationships where, I mean, sales is old as dirt.
Mhm.
There are it we don't have a whole lot of technological updates that it needs. Why break a wheel to recreate it, right? It works if you work it.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, if once you've identified your niche and you're focused on that, then you become more efficient with your time, because and it's not so much the things you do, it's the things that you don't do.
Absolutely. Right? When you get someone who says, "Oh my gosh, my calendar is just so off the hook.
Mhm.
I don't even have time for business development."
Right.
Well, I can tell you why you have that problem.
Exactly. And then you've no time for business development. You've no time for preparation for when you do have opportunities or anything like that. And it's a kind of a vicious cycle after that.
Absolutely. I tell my clients all the time, like, there's no right or wrong way. I'm not going
Mm.
to arm wrestle you about right or wrong. I'm only going to talk to you about making sales and sales dollars faster versus slower.
Exactly. Well, listen, Katie, this has been fascinating. Katie, all of Katie's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do remind people about what you do.
Oh, thanks for asking, John. I'm Katie Nelson. I'm the CEO of Sales Uprising. I own a whole company about this very concept, and I'm a business coach. I got the name Sales Catalyst from all of the clients that have ever worked with me because sales come faster when you do. And
Mhm.
so, as a business, you can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Sales Uprising. It's the place to be.
Yeah, and I encourage you to go check it out. And thank you again, Katie. Great insights. Hope that was valuable for you. Remember, niching is an excellent way to go, especially when you're starting up in your own business. So thanks again for watching and listening, and I'll see you all again soon.